Hey guys, it's Sergeant Day. Tune in to my episode on the Mashup, where we talk about life in Alaska, suicide and PTSD awareness, things like that. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mashup. I'm your host, Sergeant Thomas, bringing you the best military insight, stories, and info. On today's episode, we have.
Sergeant Day.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. So where are you from?
I'm originally from Madison, Indiana. It's a small historic river town, right on the border of Kentucky.
What made you decide to join the military?
I've always been interested in the Army. Well, the military as a whole.
Yeah.
Especially as a young kid. But I had a passion for aviation, and the Army's aviation program is the best in the world.
For real?
That's what I'm working on right now.
So what about the aviation makes you think that it's the best with the Army? Why not the other? Why not Air Force?
So when I was researching it before I joined, the helicopter training program is the absolute best in the world. It's just a fact. Through missions, through pioneering nighttime flying, they've done incredible work.
What were you doing before you joined the Army?
I worked with my mom at a attorney's office.
How was that? Like, why didn't you continue to do that?
I was a file clerk. It was interesting being 17 years old in high school, going from high school life to attorney life, where there's adult everything, very big words, very big vocabulary. It was fun because I liked the people there, but I was not passionate about it.
It wasn't what you wanted to do forever. So how did your family feel when you decided to join, just leaving the family business?
They always knew what I liked. They especially knew my passion for aviation. When I was 17, my parents surprised me with a $400 flight lesson for an hour, just to make sure that's what I wanted to do for my life. And I fell in love with it all over again.
For real?
It was amazing.
So when you decided to join the military, did you go find a recruiter or did a recruiter come find you?
No, I went to the recruiter.
So you're a 92 Foxtrot, right?
Yes.
So why didn't you come in as an aviation?
So, interesting story with that one. I didn't know there was a program called Street to Seat, where you can come in as a civilian and essentially go through basic and then warrant officer school and then flight training, all that stuff.
Okay.
I didn't know that was a thing. A lot of recruiters still don't understand that concept, and it's very hard to actually find a recruiter to do all of the paperwork because it's a lot.
Okay.
But at the time, the only track that I was that I knew of from internet searches and all that was essentially going in as a helicopter repairer, like a 15 Tango or whatever. Then becoming a crew chief and then moving on from there. But when I went to MEPS and everything for the actual MOS qualification and signing the contract and everything, none of the 15 series were open.
Okay.
They were all completely full.
Did they not give you the option like to wait till it was open?
So I could, but I just graduated high school. I was really eager. I was really wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So they kind of played into that, and they were like, "Well, you have all these other jobs available. Why don't you just look at them?" Like, okay, cool. I'll do that. And my scores were kind of unique. So they selected 89 Delta, which is EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal. So the guys in the bomb suits, the robots, doing all that stuff. So I was like, I kind of know what it is from movies, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
So he made me watch a YouTube video, and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. So then I signed up for that. Long story short, I ended up failing the school. 87% attrition rate, very difficult.
You failed it at AIT?
Yes.
Okay.
It was very fun. It was very educating, but you definitely learn a lot about yourself.
For real?
Hard times. Academically. So I ended up being forced over into 92 Fox because it was right across
from there. Yeah, the next class.
The same installation.
So you didn't choose 92 Foxtrot?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
But I will say everything does happen for a reason, if we don't understand it in the moment. And the first unit that I got put into was in Alaska, which it was aviation. So it kind of worked out.
So what was your reaction to finding out you were getting stationed in Alaska?
So we get the sheets, the dream sheets, where you put
you pick your 3
that you want to go to. My first one was, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, because it's close to where I live, and I wanted to stay close to home because I've never left home.
That's how everyone is.
But number 2 was Alaska because I was like, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it. And then third, I don't even remember what third was. And then orders came up for Alaska, and I kind of got scared.
For real? But you did get something you picked, though.
Yeah, but I was terrified. So I didn't think it was actually going to happen. And then I was like, wait a minute. I can't actually move 5,000 miles away from home. Like, that's not going to happen.
So how did you then? Like, what was your thought process? Like, I'm doing this. Like, let's go.
Well, I tried to trade assignments with people in the class.
You can do that?
At the time, yeah. You could. If you agreed with it and the person agreed with it, you could swap because the 1-for-1 swap, same qualifications, same rank, same everything.
So is that not a thing now?
I have no idea.
You don't know.
It's been a few years. That was 2018, almost 2019.
Okay. So how did Alaska affect your daily life, like the weather? Because that's a big weather change.
Yes and no. So it's a very unique area. The state itself is very unique in itself, that the culture is completely different than the rest of the United States.
Okay.
But getting up there, gosh, I got there at the end of December. So it was -4 outside, and I stepped out of the international airport waiting on a cab to come get me, to take me to the Welcome Center. And I remember walking out, and I was in shorts and t-shirt.
In
And I was like, oh,
-4?
yeah. And I was like, this really isn't that bad. It's really not that bad. And then I stood out there for longer than 2 minutes, and it started to bite me.
Oh my gosh.
I was very irritated, so I wanted back inside.
Did you get like a brief or anything before you went there? Like, don't the people who go out of the country get briefs about?
So yeah. You get, you still get the levy brief and all that, but it's just general
stuff. Okay.
It has nothing to do with like the actual area that you're going, because they do like the massive brief with everybody in the auditorium.
So what did you do after standing outside for 2 minutes in shorts?
Oh, I definitely went back inside. I waited until the cab got there, and I made sure he called me when he was there, so I didn't have to walk out there and look for him because it was cold.
So when you got in the cab, you guys went to the Welcome Center, and did you stay in like barracks or?
So the Welcome Center reception barracks, yeah. Very raggedy at the time. But it was very it was crazy.
So did you have a car at the moment?
No, I've never owned a car until maybe a year after that.
So how did you get around out there?
We walked for the most part.
Walked?
Yeah, so when I first got there and I first got to the unit and everything, we were on rear detachment.
Okay.
The forward was in Korea. We were deployed at the time. So we only had a few guys attached to the platoon, and it was very hard to get a ride.
Really? So what did you guys do all day if everybody else was deployed?
Simple maintenance of trucks and just trying to upkeep what we had at the time. The aircraft still had to fly, so we still had field missions and things like that.
So you filled aircrafts and not like regular military vehicles?
So we did all of it, yeah.
Both of them?
So we did, because we were Apaches and Gray Eagles. So
For real? That's where I'm at now.
yeah, I love it.
So how did you guys still do PT in that weather? Like running outside?
Yeah, so it's actually so Alaska has their own set of regulations. Everywhere else has like the blue book and everything. Alaska actually has their own set of everything to contend with the weather, uniform changes, things like that. So until it went past -20, so -20 is the cutoff, you would be outside running in winter PTs. It really wasn't bad once you got your heart rate up, blood pumping and everything, but initially it was pretty bad.
So were there any special skills or anything that you guys had to develop in order to survive out there? Like what?
Yes, there was a lot. So the Army out there has the Northern Warfare Training Center, which other branches come as well to train there. The Rangers specifically come up there to train all the time. for mountaineering and Arctic skills.
Okay.
So with me being in aviation, I was able to get the isolation survival course open to me. So what that means is it's about a week in the classroom, and then you go a couple days outside with a team, and then you guys split off. There's about two of you guys. You guys are 2-man teams, and you survive, evade the enemy, build your own thermal shelters.
Like all outside?
Oh yeah. It was December 2019.
Is this something you wanted to do? Or
yeah.
okay.
So I did. At the time, there were they're more refined now, but they had little Arctic tabs right here. Now they go up here. It's an actual tab, kind of like jungle, ranger, all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted it because if you didn't have an Arctic tab, you weren't anything.
Oh.
So I was like, I want to do it. I want to freeze my butt off. I want to try to do this stuff, all that good stuff. But it was interesting to say the least. You're -30 and below.
That's crazy.
We call it the wind tunnel.
Was there any other courses out there that you guys did?
Yeah, there was a leadership school out there for Arctic training. Very difficult.
Do any of those courses like help in the civilian world?
Maybe. I mean, it was all mainly just focused on survival, military tactics, that kind of stuff. But leadership schools are always good for everything.
Yeah. So what activities or like experiences did you guys get out there? Was there anything to do outside of base? Like to go hang out?
Mainly there was drinking.
Okay.
But hiking, outdoorsy stuff like fishing, hunting, things like that. We went on hikes a lot, we ran a lot, did that kind of stuff.
That's good. So where did you go after you left Alaska?
So I briefly went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky for a selection course for special operations. And then came back up to Alaska. But right after Alaska, I came here to Fort Stewart.
So the special operation, did you like want to do, you were selected for that? You applied for it?
I applied for it.
What happened?
Got in there. I ended up, so at the end of, there's pre-selection, then selection, there's a bunch of stuff into that. Pre-selection, there was a hire fire formation, and my name was on the list with the majority of the fires. So
what do you mean by the fires?
The people who were fired, they didn't get hired on to stay.
Okay. To stay there?
Yeah, that was just how we talked.
Okay. So then you ended up here at Stewart.
Yeah, so I went back to Alaska, finished out the rest of the contract.
And then came to Stewart?
Yeah.
So what is the difference of doing your job in Alaska versus doing your job here as a 92 Foxtrot?
We use a different fuel, different technical things. Mainly everything's the same, except for this is a ground unit.
What do you mean by ground unit?
Ground unit meaning we're not aviation.
Okay.
So we just have trucks, tanks, things like that.
Just regular military vehicles. Yeah. Are you in school?
Yeah, actually, I just started college.
Just started. So what was that process like, starting it?
Here?
Yeah.
Kind of frustrating.
Frustrating how? What was...
I wasn't told all of the requirements to start college and to actually get the financial pieces going. Kind of had to figure it out on my own. Got blindsided by a couple things. But
did you go to the education center?
I did. Yes.
And they didn't give you the information you needed either?
So they gave me half the information. They didn't tell me the full picture, so I had to go back. And by the time I went back, the deadline for applying for financial aid and everything is already
done.
Passed. So I had to use the Pell Grant to pay for it, which is fine. I don't have to pay out of pocket, but I would have liked to have more money coming.
Yeah. So you didn't use your TA for Memory Ignited?
Not this one.
Not this one? Do you plan to? Yes. Did you get everything you needed to figure it out?
I definitely did.
Okay.
I made sure.
All right. Are you planning to use your TA and Pell Grant together for all of your classes, or are you trying to pocket the money?
Oh, I'm definitely trying to pocket it. That's why I chose the university I chose. Some don't do that. Some put it back towards the Army. I definitely need that.
Okay. Did you get your JST, your Joint Service Transcript, and you put it in there? So all of the courses that you taken and all the classes, were those on your JST?
Yes, they were.
And they gave you some college credits?
Only 8.
Only 8 out of all of the courses you said you did? Do you think it's just the school that you went to or just the courses?
It Universities will change that
Mm-hmm.
how they accept the credits, and as of right now, it's a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they only gave 8. I would have liked more, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's still 8 on Upstate.
What are you going to school for?
I'm going for a bachelor's degree
Mm-hmm.
in supply chain and logistics management.
For real? Why that degree?
Being in petroleum logistics,
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to me because of all the experience that I've had. I like learning about it.
Hmm.
Plus, the rest of my family now is in logistics systems,
Okay.
so it's more of like the business side of logistics.
After
If I
you
start anything,
After you get your degree, do you plan to commission?
no,
You don't?
no, I plan on actually. I'm working on a flight packet right now, so
Mm-hmm.
going with the warrant officer route, doing all that stuff, and then becoming a pilot.
I thought you didn't need a degree to go warrant.
You don't.
Or are you just getting it for
I'm
yourself?
getting it because it sets me up in case anything happens. I have a
Mm-hmm.
backup plan. Also, anything after the army that I want to do
Mm-hmm.
will require at least a bachelor's degree. Yeah.
Okay. So once you go warrant, what are your plans there? Like, do you plan to try to make it to 5 or we taking it a contract at a time?
I would like 5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I get this, I'm definitely probably staying in after 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
just because that's the way it goes. But I plan on getting the flight hours and going back to special operations and
Okay.
actually committing as a pilot there.
Okay. So in order to go warrant, you need a 110 GT score, right?
Yes.
Do you have one?
Yes, I do.
How did you go about? Did you have that when you
I
joined
did
the
not.
army?
I did not.
What did you do to get that?
So in Alaska, it was called Fast Class. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's called BSEP.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what that
Let me
means
see.
anymore.
Basic Skills Education
There it
Program.
is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's essentially you go back to school
Mm-hmm.
and you focus on just the GT factors. So like English, vocabulary, paragraph comprehension, and some math and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher that we had up there, she was kind of nutty, but she was an astrophysicist. She was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She could teach one problem 7 different ways.
For real? Okay. During your course, did you still have to go to work or was that like your place of duty?
No, that was my place of duty. So it was like um, the first time I took, because I took it multiple times. I had to take the course multiple
Mm-hmm.
times because I'm not the smartest.
It's okay.
But yeah, initially it was my place of duty. So I'd be there in the morning, take
Mm-hmm.
a lunch, go back in the afternoon. Um, one of the courses was only afternoon, one of them was only in the morning. It depended on what her time schedule was.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
How did you apply for the class? Like, did you have to call somewhere? Did you have to go
I
somewhere?
went to the Ed Center,
Mm-hmm.
the education center there, just to see what I could do. And they popped up with that option, and I took it and ran with it.
Okay. What were like your daily tasks there?
At
You
the
just
school. So
like did you take tests?
yeah, so we took practice tests every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
The course would be about a month long ish, somewhat like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But she was pretty. She had a good schedule. She would. We would do practice tests every Friday, um, and then Mondays would be all about math.
Okay.
Tuesday would be all about English, and then we would just go on and so forth.
Would you recommend this course to other soldiers?
Oh yes, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
especially in my squad, I definitely do.
Okay. Do you think this is only good for improving your GT
No,
or should they just take it?
no, of course it'll improve your GT,
Mm-hmm.
but when you take the test, you take the entire ASVAB. But when you're in the service, it's called AVCAT. Essentially the same test,
Mm-hmm.
but you take the entire test over again. So if you're not happy with anything, you can study the entire test if you want.
Yeah.
And just get better scores overall, and it makes
Mm-hmm.
you smarter. It just you learn more.
Yeah. Is there any way that you think the Army could improve this course?
I honestly love the course.
You think
I had
everything is
no
great?
gripes, complaints about that course.
That's good. So what other courses have you taken while in the service?
So BLC, did that one in Alaska as well. I had to go to Anchorage for that. That was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was worth driving 6 hours for.
You had to drive there?
So we were bused down there,
Mm-hmm.
but of course it's a bus.
Yeah.
But buzzed down there, and then we're out there without a car, and it really wasn't. worth 6 hours. But it was an interesting course. Went through combo broadening stuff. So I had my own combo program, communications program. So I ran my company's communications. So I
as a 92 Foxtrot?
Yeah, because I was very interested in it.
Okay.
And nobody else wanted to take it because when you say combo, people get afraid because they're afraid of doing the wrong thing, ending up in trouble.
Yeah.
A lot of responsibility. But like it's really not that bad. Plus I love it. So it's very interesting dealing with the radios, the satellite stuff, all that kind of stuff. And we had an opportunity there's an early warning radar system that floats in the ocean around our country. And I had an opportunity to study aboard that. So it was pretty interesting.
Well, so what did you do while studying that?
So we studied essentially what they're watching for. They're making sure everybody stays on top of their rocket launches and doesn't do anything crazy and just gives everybody a heads up if something crazy happens.
And you did all of this in Alaska? You did a lot there.
Yes, I did.
Would you go back?
If I would stay in aviation, yes. Yes.
So I also read that you have a lot of additional duties. How do you keep up with those?
Yeah, so my last unit I had a lot of responsibilities just because I'm a workaholic. I love working, especially when it's actual work. It's not just kind of busy stuff. But here, I mean, the responsibilities here are very easy to me. We only do a couple of them at a time. They're not all piling on top of each other. In Alaska, they were all on top of each other, but I could just go down the list, just bam, 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 and just knock them all out.
So how did you volunteer for all of those, or were you just told like, hey, you're doing this?
Yes, and some of them I was voluntold. Here I've been voluntold on everything.
Oh my gosh!
But it works out.
So what are some important resources that you think all service members should know about?
So I know in Alaska we leaned on the chaplains a lot because life is hard up there, especially in the winter with it being darkness 24/7. MFLAC was a good one. Military Family Life Counseling. That was a good one. They don't take notes or anything. They just kind of sit there, have a conversation with you.
So like just counselors.
Yeah, essentially.
You said they don't take notes, so like none of that goes on your record?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's why they're there. And their motto while I was up there was, we don't, not even a post-it note. So, experiences may vary, of course, but I enjoyed it when I used them. I had to a couple times. Because I like behavioral health. I think it's a great resource. But in my experiences that I've had with them, I did not like them.
So, you did not. Yeah, I've heard a lot of bad stories about them.
So I choose to do those other things. I'd rather talk to somebody rather than try to medicate myself into being okay. That's not okay to me.
So what do you think could change about behavioral health to make more soldiers want to go there?
I think they're getting better about it now, where they're like trying to take away the stigma and all that, whatever. But they still kind of hold a blanket behind it. So they still try to create this facade of it being like end all be all type things. And I don't.
So what exactly is behavioral health though?
So behavioral health, you can go in there and essentially talk to the medical professionals of the Army and get it documented and actually be treated for certain things if you have them. Okay. Like depression, anxiety, things like that. Okay. But most people will go in there to talk to somebody. Because if you have any depressive episodes or anything, someone's always like, talk to somebody.
But they don't tell you who to talk to.
They don't know. Nobody knows how to actually talk to anybody. If this is your first instance, you don't know what you're trying to talk to somebody about. You just walk in, they're like, all right, what's wrong? But like my experience, I went in there and I got maybe 5 words out, and the guy was like, I'll give you what you want. Wrote a prescription for something and handed it to me. I was like, okay. So it was just, it was kind of like a slap in the face. Like, why do I even show up to work if you're not going to take care of me?
And then you guys don't really care. So I know a lot of soldiers go to behavioral health to get things documented for when they
Yes.
get out of the military. So to have it for their VA benefits and stuff. So the soldiers that don't want to get out right now aren't looking for a way out. What do you recommend? Who do you recommend for them to go talk to?
I still recommend getting it documented
Mhm.
because there's no shame in getting stuff documented. Not.
But will having that stuff documented like affect the rest of your career if you still want to do a full 20?
That's the hard part because as much as they say it doesn't, it does. Certain jobs, certain positions, it does matter. Certain things can be written off after a certain amount of time or whatever, but it really depends on what you're looking to do. But most of the time, no, it doesn't affect your future. You just really have to research it. Oftentimes, more than not, you can get like a waiver for it. Um, take it off.
You're taking it off.
Do.
So like soldiers who are dealing with depression or thinking about suicide, PTSD, where do you recommend them to go?
So that's also a hard one for me because
Or like what are some resources that you think they should know about?
I still struggle with PTSD and everything every single day. So what I did, because some of those resources weren't working, I went to the chaplain, loved the guy. He got PCS right in the middle of my issues. I couldn't trust the next guy, so I was like, well, okay. So once the inflag, the two people that I met with were more interested about talking about them, and the guy's bike got stolen, so he talked 45 minutes about that. I was like, okay, whatever. So I was getting very irritated. So I ended up calling my mom because I'm a mama's boy. She got me into BetterHelp. She signed me up for it because I couldn't.
Is that a resource outside of the service?
Yes, it is. It's a civilian resource. It does cost money, but if you're active duty, you qualify for financial aid. They'll knock the price down about half. They work really well with us, and that has helped tremendously.
So if you could start a program or give out any type of resource for people dealing with PTSD or thinking about suicide, how would you start it? What are some things that you would implement?
Honestly, we can help ourselves. So, like me that goes through it right now, I can still talk to my own people, which I do, whenever they're having a hard time, and try to understand and try to help them. We can do that. That's what being an NCO, that's what being a leadership is about. Um, but more often times than not, people try showing it off, people try doing that. So I would, if we were starting up a clinic, essentially, I would have it of volunteers, people to share their experiences, actually talk to people, try to help people resolve or try to pick out what's wrong so they can fix it. Um, if we had civilians in the mix, I would not have government civilians.
Why not?
In my experience, government civilians are there for a paycheck.
Okay.
Not all of them, of course, but the majority of the ones. And typically, the government civilians are retired military.
So they should understand more.
Yeah. Granted, some are amazing at what they do, but some are not.
Okay. So, are there any tips or any advice you want to give to any soldiers out there dealing with these issues?
Do not isolate. That's what I did. I destroyed all my relationships with everybody that I knew and loved. I quit sleeping. I don't recommend that. I recommend getting as much rest as you can. Continue to take care of your body. Sleeping is taking care of your mind. And then, like everybody says, talk to somebody. But when you go to talk to somebody, try to figure out what you want in your end game. So, if I'm going to go talk to somebody, why am I going to go talk to somebody? Do I want relief in this pain? Or what? Because you're never alone in the pain. We all have pains.
Okay, that's really good. That's some really good advice because I think a lot of soldiers do end up isolating themselves, especially if they don't have anyone to talk to. So they think all I have is myself, so let me just stay to myself, and that could cause more pain. But thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Mashup. If there's any topic or any MOS you guys want us to talk to, please like, subscribe, and comment below. And stay tuned for more interviews and more military insight. Thank you. Bye.